Hello everyone, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations. Now, for the last two videos, I've kind of gotten ahead of myself and said, boy, it's gonna end this video, this is it, guys, wow, golly gee whiz. No. I now have reason to believe that this trial session is precisely half over. We may have successfully determined that Dahlia Hawthorne was more or less the big key actor in this case. And by goodness, she attempted to kill Maya, of all people. But no, as Godot pointed out, even though many questions were answered, like how the body was moved, we still don't actually know for sure who killed Misty Faye. Who stabbed her? That's what we're gonna have to find out here, so let's get going. I think we're going to actually cross-examine Maya Faye. And that's... I mean, I said it before. Earlier in this case, it was like, wow, what if we cross-examined Maya? That would be wild. And here we are. Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we had performed earlier. The blade. Tests? Yes, tests. On the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that. I totally forgot about it. I didn't. That's the weapon that Maya Faye used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was it the victim's blood, or... Due to time constraints, a full test wasn't possible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on this dagger was not the victim's blood. Huh. That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. Then whose was it? Huh. But were any fingerprint tests done on the hilt? I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly. Agreed. Well, now I don't know how long this is gonna last. Very well. Please bring in the last witness. Hi, Maya. Oh, she changed her clothes. Witness, please tell us your name and profession. Maya Faye. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Co. law offices. Maya. According to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Karain channeling technique. I'm frightened. The Faye clan. I don't want any more to do with it. Oh, Maya. The pain the Faye bloodline causes must be unbearable. Very well. Now then, Miss Faye. When the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple. And you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise Dunham's murder. Is this correct? I didn't see any... Straighten up this instant, young lady. Huh? Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But Your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witness come out, and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn. Let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Harsh, but I guess it works.
I was passing through the garden on the way to a spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" And something warm splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness.
That sounds like she's describing someone stabbing Misty Faye from the back and blood splattering on Maya's face, or on her in general. So what she's saying is, in short, someone else approached from behind and backstabbed Misty, who I think was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been this staff. Maya, the person who hit you, it was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was.
Maya, think hard.
Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't.
Ha! Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through the testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. Well, I'm not sure we even saw the spare prep room. See what she has to say about that. Who else was on the inner temple side that night?
Well, Sister Bikini, of course. But I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well.
On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later, like she said?
Well, let me think.
She seems confused. It's probably because she's so tired.
No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head.
Who did it? Who hit you?
Well, I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind.
You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How can you not see who it was?
Oh! Let me think for a sec. I'm sorry. I just can't remember.
Maya is really having a hard time. What should I do? If we press her harder, maybe we could get her to talk about maybe the clothes the person was wearing, any single detail she can remember. Come on, Maya, this isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person?
Well, let me think. It was, oh yeah, that's right. It was dark, that's it.
It was dark.
It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training.
Come to think of it, there was earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime.
That's why she didn't see her attacker. Thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not.
Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise Dunim, Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well, please continue with your testimony. What happened after you were struck on the head?
I stumbled and ended up against a stone lantern.
What happened afterwards?
My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape. I think.
You think?
After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time.
Well now, this is beginning to get interesting. So what were the two things rolling around in your mind?
My name is Maya Fey. 1 + 1 = 2. You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was going to lose my memory. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was.
That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable, given the circumstances. So, what did you do then?
I think I screamed, "Help me."
You think you screamed, but you're not sure?
Listen, I was a complete wreck. It was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man? A woman? An adult? A child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits.
Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes.
I thought this person might attack me, so I... Anyway, I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that it was my last hope.
Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What do I do? Yeah. Someone hit you over the head. Why would you immediately think that someone was trying to kill you? What did you see or feel or hear that made you think that you were about to die? Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff?
What? What do you mean by your last hope?
No. That's what you said. You said, my last hope.
Huh? What? I said what?
Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me."
Yeah.
But you testify that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope.
Oh, well, that's like... What do you call it when that happens?
Maya's not doing so well up there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at.
What?
What did you just say? Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at.
Whomst?
That's who I was screaming to for help. Ah! Oh, what is it now? I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out.
Huh? Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? behind the attacker. There was another person.
I meant to keep that part a secret.
Why? Why, Maya? Why?
What have I done?
It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say. That is literally the first time you've said that.
A ton of pressure.
You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony.
I could see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern.
A man. Literally the only two men on that mountain was Phoenix himself and Larry Butts. And I don't know about you, but I think Larry's testimony that he was asleep in the whatchamacallit, the palace or whatever, the Golden Palace or whatever, that seems watertight. So who? Okay, Godot, no one could find or contact him on the first day after the murder where the trial was going on. Gumshoe was clearly holed up in his, whatever he calls an apartment. Larry was at the river. Edgeworth was, like, freaking out of the U.S. Okay, yeah, no. I think Maya might be confused. A man? What did you mean by... What made you think the guy was a man? Wait! Hold the frick up! No! The moment I just pressed that, I read the word again, and I freaked out. The man was seen by the light of the stone lantern. The light of the stone lantern. God damn it, Maya. For one thing, the evidence says it was not lit at the night of the crime. So we know that's false on its own. And two, she just said that she couldn't see who her attacker was because it was dark. A man? Who was this man?
Well, you see, I couldn't see.
You couldn't see? She's used this excuse twice now.
Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright.
Lantern light, did you say?
There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. It was lighted when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say? Under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker, who was closer. Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at the time.
The light of the lantern. No, it wasn't lit. So there was a man standing behind your attacker.
Yeah.
That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Dunim. I'm just gonna go over everyone. Maya Fey is obviously not the killer. Mia Fey is obviously not the killer. Pearl Fey is obviously not the killer. No one knew where Godot was. Gumshoe was not the killer. Bikini was obviously not the killer. Elise Dunim obviously died. Iris was obviously not the killer. Larry Butts is obviously not the killer, I think. Franziska is obviously not the killer. Miles Edgeworth is obviously not the killer. Dahlia Hawthorne was in the body of Elise Dunim at the time when she died. Morgan Fay was in prison. Guys? Either they're gonna spring some random ass new NPC on us, which would make no sense, or it's Godot? What? Who else could it be? What? What? Okay, no, let's say if Godot was on that island that night and he got stranded by the burning bridge, where would he hide? Would he, hide in the woods and just slip in all suave and calm and collected when the police got there after Gumshoe repaired the bridge, and he would just yeah, hey fellas, I'm here too, let's get to investigating. No one could find him on the first day. No one could find him on the first day. No one could find or contact him on the first day. Oh my god. Otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother.
The killer.
Maya. You know who killed your mother, don't you? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she is in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony.
What do you mean? What problem?
Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission.
What?
It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night.
No.
Oh. Maya's robes really do just go up to her knees, huh? Order. Order in the court. Mr. Godot, explain this. Add the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of witness's mind right now. A cup of café au lait. Café au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Tright's words are the milk, and you are the spoon, Your Honor. I'm a spoon? Yes! The moment Godot called him a spoon, I knew it. I knew he would say this. I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know. For those not in the know, the phrase, You spoony bard is a reference to a very famous translation error in the English release of Final Fantasy IV. Nice.
You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that.
Objection!
Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. What did you say?
If there truly was no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony.
Nick.
May I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person, despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker.
No!
Order! What in the world does this all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch-black conditions?
Objection!
Trite, do you have any idea what you're proposing? How could she have seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene.
Wait. Huh. There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark. And now, you're trying to cover for him. Cover? For the man that killed her mother? There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who this man is.
Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you.
Huh?
You talk a good game, Trite. Let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't. Please stop.
Maya is dead set on protecting this guy. The man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court. I'm here to find the truth. All right, Mr. Wright. Time to show us what you've got. Who was this person that you say Miss Faye saw in the darkness? Do you remember? I forget which case it was, or why it happened, but there was a moment in this game where the lights went out in this court, and all we saw, shining in darkness, were 3 red lines.
Take that!
Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible. Yes? What? But how do you propose to show us something like that? It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night. Conditions? Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights in this courtroom be turned off. What? What? This is... But it can't be. Ha!
That was a nice bit of deduction. Right. Well, everyone?
This is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Order! 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 Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this? Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it?
Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person.
What do you mean by that?
If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night, was it 3 glowing red lights?
Well, witness, answer the question.
You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya. I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man. For a totally different reason. What?
Witness, Mr. Wright.
Stop your chattering, Your Honor.
Chattering?
If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man.
Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... when I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit, and the body was gone. And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up, too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man.
Wow, that is ridiculously flimsy. So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor,
No need to apologize. It's as Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural that you would be a little confused. Also, if you consider this situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, please proceed with the cross-examination. If this story is true, why would Maya think to channel Dahlia to get ahead of the curve? Oh, that's right. She channeled Mia by leaving a note. She left a note for Mia to read, and Mia wrote a note in return, and Maya read it when she came back. That's right. So yeah, that could still happen after this story occurred. We should go back in the hall.
When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden. Is that right? Yes, I think it happened when the victim was stabbed.
So then the person that carried you into the inner temple, it could only have been the killer.
That's what I think too.
So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple.
By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed.
Naturally, the killer must have done it, right?
Yes, I think so.
But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide.
I don't know.
Man, there's a reason Godot had such a strong reaction to the knowledge that there was blood written on the lantern. My initial thought was that the snow around it was cleaned up to hide bloodstains, but that's also red on white. He wouldn't be able to see it. So, maybe he just cleaned up randomly, hoping that he would get every trace of blood. But I don't know what else could be but blood. Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. Right. Okay, maybe I press her more and get another addition to the testimony, and I can come back and ask this again.
The torches were lit, and the body was gone.
The torches were lit.
Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole scene had changed.
I'm gonna say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. Very well. Let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene.
And all of the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up, too.
So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. The snow was removed in a natural-looking rectangular shape around the lantern.
There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy. Way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away? There's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow?
Yeah. The area collapsed and ended up being splattered.
In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation. Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. The killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it. There was no need to remove that amount. He overcompensated. He went to all that trouble to remove all the blood on the ground, but didn't notice the blood on the statue. Could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man.
So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right?
Yes.
But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker.
Nick, I'm sorry.
The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. Okay. Let's ask this again. Oh, here it is.
The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something.
You did?
Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence from me, for my sake.
What? Hiding it for you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If this Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden,
she may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened. Goodell would certainly want to protect Mia's little sister.
yes, I'm sure of it.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up the evidence of what had happened.
They did it for your sake.
Well, the body and the blood hadn't been removed. It would have immediately been the prime suspect, right?
Yes, I suppose that's true. Yeah, and if that had happened, the body would have caused some other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master of Karain killed by own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it. But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you? Got an idea. The reason why is already obvious, but to the rest of this court, perhaps not. If the killer cleaned up everything to protect you, cleaned up all that bloody snow to protect Maya, why did they not clean up the blood that literally spelled out Maya's name?
Objection!
The body of Elise Dunim was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh, and what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing off the lantern? Oh, you're right. Order, order, order. But, Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing.
Objection!
But if that's the case,
Do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it.
Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? The killer wrote it to pin the crime on Maya? The killer didn't notice it. As ridiculous as it sounds. Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial, you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought.
The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it.
But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that.
You're right. There is no way any normal person would. What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether. And who would that be? Who is the person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing? It's him.
Take that!
Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday.
My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything.
You can't see everything. Is that correct, Mr. Godot? This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I'd like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern? There's something written on it. Why, it's written in blood.
Humph! Nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle.
Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. You went through this once before. During the poisoning case at Trebion. I was about to bring that up.
This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on.
There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain into the court?
Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be?
Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that's smeared all over the apron.
That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain.
You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup, because it was red.
Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them?
So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern?
Hey, Gramps.
Didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea. I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Dunan, also known as Miss Misty Fey. It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Ha! Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on. How does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there.
Objection!
I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Trite. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow. The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If you wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not take out just that area? Yes. Why didn't he take out just that area? Oh, could it be? Yes. The killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area.
Objection!
Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine. It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot?
Oh, wait just a minute.
What now?
Maya,
What is it, witness? Oh, sorry.
Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place.
Yeah, I was wondering when they'd bring this up.
He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection!
Maya. You can't testify to something like that.
Why? What do you mean? I may not look at... Eek!
After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't. I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me.
Maya, do you plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost? If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Ha! Nicely done, Trite. Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling, and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearlie was there at the inner temple, too.
Right. I think I'm going to end it here. Just under an hour, I think. I cannot say that I saw this coming. I was as blind to this as Godot was to Red. Oh my god. The question is, why would Godot even go to that mountain in the first place? Did he sniff out some trail of the scheme between Morgan and Dahlia? Or is he just a self-styled guardian of the Fays and followed Maya all the time and just so happened to be there? Like, no matter what Godot thinks of Phoenix, it's clear that he cared about Mia Fey a lot. So he'd do anything to protect Maya, her little sister, her legacy. And even if that included killing someone to save Maya's life, he'd do it. Yeah, I truly believe Godot is the killer. All that's left is to prove it. Oh my god. The question is, why would Maya want to protect Godot in turn? I think it could be that Maya knows who Godot is, knows that he's Diego Armando, someone who is very close to Mia. All but extended family at this point. The only good extended family she's ever had, honestly. Yeah, I could see that being Maya's reason. Well... all I know is that this game is nearly over, so... I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations. I thank you for watching, and hopefully I will catch you next time when we finish this. Until then, please take care.